Hello and thank you for joining me today on The Political Conversationalist. My name is Ben Phipps, and today we're still talking about controversial or divisive topics, and we're talking about gay marriage. Now, I didn't want to mislead you with the title, but we're going to talk less about the morality of gay marriage and more about the legality of gay marriage. So I apologize if I misconstrued the meaning of this video, but the morality is not something I want to get into. It's not really part of a political domain, but the legality and definitely the way it became legal is very, very, very much so part of my political domain. There are plenty of people who can argue the morality. I suggest you just search gay marriage online and you can see why it's wrong, why it's right, and they'll do a better job than I would of that. However, I will go on to say this. Most people who object to gay marriage do so on a religious basis. Now, that's good for them, and if they don't believe in it, that's absolutely fine. If you are a pastor or a minister of some sort and you don't believe in it, you should not have to perform those services. Just like any other business, you have the right to refuse service to anyone for any reason. However, we do have the separation of church and state, which is what many people said about the gay marriage laws and why it should be allowed is because we're not, we have a constitution, not the Bible, basically, things like that. We shouldn't be a Christian nation, we should just be a nation and all this. We have the separation of church and state. We are a republic and we're not a theocracy. So that was also said. A theocracy is a type of government that is run by a god or by the god. Of course, it doesn't exist anymore. This is 2018. People govern themselves. But a republic means that the government is made up of people who are elected to represent the beliefs and the values and the ideals of the public. So if you have the people are mostly religious one way or the other, then the government is going to seem religious one way or the other because it's accurately representing those people. So just because we have laws that are more moral than political, if a law was passed about abortion or something like that, that doesn't mean that the church is taking over the government. That just means that most of the people who voted for those people did so because they have similar morals to them, and those morals tend to line up with some type of church. So don't get that confused. However, let's go into a little bit of detail about our government. See, our government is a republic, and I did go over the structure of U.S. government a couple weeks ago, but we also have a constitution. Now, a constitution is kind of like a contract or a code of ethics or a behavior code for our government. And it was drawn up so that the federal government wouldn't have too much power and the states wouldn't have too much power, so that they would share power, checks and balances and all that and whatnot. And supposedly, our government operates according to this Constitution. Supposedly. So, firstly, the major point I want to point out is that the Constitution says powers not delegated to the U.S., to the United States, the federal government, are reserved for the states. So that means anything that the Constitution does not expressly give to the federal government, like printing money, for example, or raising militias or something like that, anything that the Constitution does not exactly say only the U.S. federal government can do this, the states are the people then who should do that. In 2015, the Supreme Court, part of the federal government, decided that the Constitution really doesn't matter, and they made gay marriage legal. Now, it wasn't in their power to do so, because if you read the Constitution, it doesn't say anything about marriage. I have not seen the word marriage in there. I've not seen the word wife or husband in there. I could not find it anywhere in there about marriage in the Constitution. Therefore, it was not delegated to the United States. Therefore, it should be reserved for the states. Regardless, what makes it more egregious in this example, in that they allowed or that they forced this to be legal, is that they claimed it was the will of the people, they claimed it was the right thing to do, but like I said, we have a republic, which means the majority of people, if they have a moral stand, then the government should also take that moral stand. What's worse is that we had 31 states by 2009 who had had a referendum, voted on gay marriage, and all 31 states had voted, even Massachusetts, I believe, was the last one to vote, very slightly, albeit, had voted no and said, no, we don't believe that that should be a legal thing. No one wants to make gay relationships illegal. They just didn't believe that gay marriage should be legally acceptable. And referendums are great. Referendums are my favorite method the government has for making sure they're doing what the people wants. in a referendum, you have people vote on a specific law. I remember I didn't vote on it. I wasn't quite old enough, but it was voted on here in North Carolina. And I believe it was a 70-30 split. And the only county that went for gay marriage was Mecklenburg County, where Charlotte is. So what happened? Why did the Supreme Court decide that the 31 states who voted on gay marriage were wrong? Why did the Supreme Court decide that the federal government can override the state government when it has no power in the area of marriage? Well, they said it's because of the 14th Amendment. Now, the 14th Amendment says no state, I'm paraphrasing, shall pass laws that abridge the rights of U.S. citizens. Now, I think it's important to know it didn't say take away or to not give to. It said to abridge. And when I think abridge, I think of a book. When you see a book that's been edited for content and made shorter, they say it's an abridged version. Or sometimes when someone's trying to tell you a long story, trying to tell you real short, they'll give you the abridged version. So abridged means to take away something that is there. But you can't take away federal marriage protection because federal marriage protection didn't exist. All marriage laws should have been, according to the Constitution, state-based, not federally based. So you can't abridge a right of a U.S. citizen if that right has not been granted yet. That's very technical, and that's some legal jargon, and that's not really a good standing to say that they're wrong. But the point is this. Not that gay marriage is right or wrong, because I believe gay marriage is, it's here to stay. It's already legal now. I don't think there's really much point in going after it and trying to make it illegal again. But here is the very egregious part, and the lesson we can learn from gay marriage and how it became legal is that 9 justices who are appointed by the president are more important than 31 states full of voters who said this should be illegal, we don't believe in it. And 9 justices, actually not even all 9 of them, 5 of them said, we believe it should be legal, we believe you're wrong, we're smarter than you, therefore it's legal. That is the lesson in gay marriage. So, like I said, if you want to see the morals of gay marriage, I suggest you go read some more religious sites or go to some different YouTubers. I can't really recommend anything because I don't read a lot of moral or philosophical things like that. I'm very political, and I try to stay in my domain as much as possible. Just political things, the way government operates, that's what I understand and I'm good at. So, like I said, the Supreme Court and the federal government and all federal judges really are taking a lot more power than they should have, and that's the really worrisome thing. Even not too long ago, the situation going on at the border, separating the children, a federal judge ruled that, the U.S. government has to try to reunite these children now, by such and such a time. Where does it say anything about migrant children and separating immigrants in the Constitution? It's not that the federal judges of the Supreme Court are always wrong when they make a decision, but they should stay in their lane just like I stay in my lane. The states are supposed to have certain powers. The federal government is supposed to have certain powers. The Supreme Court and federal judges are supposed to determine if something is unconstitutional or not, and that's it. Thanks for watching. Shoot me an email, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.